GM, everybody.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, work for all my life, and I had to start again, just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. That I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
GM. Good morning, everybody. GM and GBA.
GM.
What a lovely song.
Blessed
Yes.
to be an American.
We are so blessed.
So blessed.
Yep. Yep. Just looking around at everything, and it's like, no place I'd rather be. My goodness. And I knew that intellectually. I understood that. But then when I was able to travel, and I've now been to, I think, 13 different countries. Holy moly, we got it so good. There is no complaining. In fact, recently I went to a meetup, and they had a funny thing about at the beginning they would do complaints and congrats, something like that. What's a congrats? What did you do over the week or weekend? And are there any major complaints? Because sometimes you can't complain around this, that, or the other people. And I was like, this is a weird section of the meetup, but okay. So a few people got up and they complained about this, that, and the other thing. And then when it was my turn, my complaint was about complaining. I said, hey man, there's way too much complaining going on here. We're in America. We can't complain about stuff like this. And I actually got quite a few people on my side through that. So whenever I hear someone say, "Yeah, there's a problem with America," or yeah, I know there are problems, but it's still the best place to be. And because of that, let's fully express our possibilities, business wise, relationship wise, finance, fitness, faith wise. Do our best because we were born here. Some people like to say we are winners of the genetic lottery to be able to be born here. So, how are we going to do our best?
Hey, Michael, you don't even have to, go too far or go to a different country. You can just to be, so grateful, in every big cities like here in Chicago, there's always an area that is needing some more help. So they can even go there. so, so
Right?
yeah,
Yeah, literally just
it's
across the tracks, huh?
yes, absolutely. But yeah, I love it here.
So, one thing we're going to do is this is the last workshop I'm doing with Cosimo until late summer, probably even fall. He's going to take 3 months off and go to Italy, do some, more genius brain work. Um, so anyway, this Thursday, I just put a link in the chat. This Thursday, we're going to do another genius course right here.
And
Learning blocks.
you going to Italy this time or
No, not this time.
okay?
Nope. I really wanted to. I know, man. I was like, it was a toss up. I got to do something else later this year, and so I'm not able to do both. So, dang it. To want going there last year was probably the best international trip I've had.
You can go for like a week instead of a month. I know you went for like 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do for like
Um,
a shorter period.
yeah. Yeah, I thought about that. Cosimo's taking his wife and his kids, and then me take my wife and kids, and it's not even the same anymore. So we're gonna go do some wife kid action, and we're gonna do it more locally. Because, dude, just taking our kids over there would, you know, our two groups would be like 25 grand.
Oh yeah,
And
it's expensive.
I'd rather
Maybe
buy
you can
some,
meet the new pope.
yeah. But if we did something here, we did something in Dollywood or Florida where he is, save 20 grand.
Oh yeah, there's plenty here to do.
Yep. Yep. I can show him around some. Maybe we'll go to the Grand Canyon or something real American.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe fly a
Um,
like helicopter, hover around Grand Canyon or something.
yep. Yep.
Oh,
We'll go shoot some machine guns in Texas out of a
there you go.
helicopter. Yep. Um, okay. Anyway, just wanted to bring this up.
And then go surfing
Um,
in California.
yep. We go surf in California. We can, hike the Oregon Trail. That's always fun. Some camp action. Um, we'll go look at some bears in Yellowstone. We'll probably pan for gold in South Dakota. We'll just take a road trip, grab some RVs. I mean, you could buy an RV, do a road trip, and sell the RV for a couple grand.
Yeah, and
So,
you can go like maybe in a summertime you can go to where the Civil War is in Gettysburg. It's really nice over there.
yeah, yeah, there's a lot of monuments around, and yeah,
Mhm.
it's crazy time.
I wonder, it's as many times I've been because I used to live like about an hour from there, and that's actually where Dave's family hit experience, and it's like when you're walking on that ground, it's you feel like all this fallen soldiers. Like militaries have died. From there, it's just you feel the. I don't know. It's almost like you feel their presence or something. It's kind of weird, but it's great.
Yeah, it's even crazier too because they were both sides were American, right? They were both
Mm-hmm.
fighting for what they thought was the ideal and for people's life, liberty, and freedom. And so to just think like those dudes were probably sitting on the train next to each other a year ago, and now all of a sudden they're in the middle of the forest fighting. Yeah, crazy, crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it was. And one time, it was like in 2004, I had a chance that I was able to, buy this property that was actually like a house with 20 acres of land. And they used to use it for like a hospital way back during the Civil War. And in fact, there's a plaque, it's on the door, like our outside, like by the door that you can't it's like preserved and stuff, and then we could like subdivide those 20 acres, and didn't have the knowledge. So I just, oh, that's an old one, let's go build, instead of that one was like 500,000, 24 I believe it was. We ended up like, okay, we'll build a $700,000 new house. Not crazy. That's what happens when you don't have knowledge. So when you don't have the proper knowledge. So
Yep.
oh, that's crazy. It's worth
Uh,
so much money now. If we would have bought it, we would have made so much money in that property.
oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Okay, so two things you guys saw coming up in our text. We have the learning blocks. Learning blocks equals student blocks equals professional blocks equals money blocks. And there's just certain things about our brain that when it comes time to do work or work on our business, work in our business, both, that our brains go into these certain modes. And each of us are different, but the modes are common. And there's ways to recognize them, to get around them, and to effectively train your brain on how to destroy distractions when it's time to work. So, like I was saying earlier, the last one until probably August or September. So, if you want to come hang out with us, that's this Thursday, the 29th, 6 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Mountain. Last time, a few people just saw the 6 and they assumed it was Mountain because they're in a mountain, but we are a nationwide community. It's 4 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Eastern. So come play with us there. And then the other thing I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of is the first flip challenge. First flip challenge round 4. So we just finished the accelerator, and the kickoff is next week. So it'll be June 5th. We're going to start, and it's just logging in now. Here we go. And I won't forget the man who died, gave that right to me. So it's been crazy hanging out with Benjamin because he's got all these questions about, you know, everything. What's Memorial Day? What's this? What's this? What's this? I don't want to make anything up. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. So it's this crazy thing. So anyway, I got him an encyclopedia, and now he's reading the encyclopedia this morning. All right, first flip challenge. So what we're gonna do in here, let's see. First flip challenge. Oh, awesome. All right. Well, we are growing, folks. We are growing and it's working. So anyway, if you guys are interested in doing the oh nice, there's a summer social networking event happening. Oh, lovely. So if you're in Utah, you should go to this. Studio A, there's going to be a mastermind. Awesome. Where is my calendar? And I'll gladly stand up next to you. There we go. Starting June 5th. So that's 9 days away. So one thing that we're going to do inside of this challenge is there's 100 and something lessons between, the basics, the tax, the legal, but then getting into your money lending, running your numbers, running your comps, and then putting in your offers. There's actually going to be a few games that you can play inside of here as well. This one right here is called Mogul, where you learn how to analyze deals on the fly. Anyway, you get all these bonus classes, and it's $597. Okay, unless you've taken the flip challenge before, I think you get it half off if you've taken it before.
No, you get $100 off.
Okay, thanks for
And then you
clarifying.
have to have your X combo to join.
Okay, great reminder. You must have your X combo. But here's the thing, if you are in a deal within 90 days and then you follow the process and either it's cash flowing you or you flip it, by the end of the summer and you flip this house, or like I said, we're getting into more buy and hold situations too, that, where would life be like 6 months from now, a year from now, once you've got 2, 3, 4, 10 deals under your belt? Remember, we have to think differently than we've been thinking these last 5 years. With all the money printing and a micro recession instead of a standard recession, everything just hyperinflated out of control. And so real estate isn't on easy mode anymore. Folks, real estate is not on easy mode anymore. First Flip Challenge launch party. There it is. Now, if you're a part of the ISN, you'll also get house tours. Then we also do something in Spanish on Tuesdays. Then on Monday, there's 2 calls. Well, one's with corporate headquarters, and then the other is with Mitch or Maley on how to run ARVs, how to make sure your comps are clear and accurate. Cash flow board games coming up. Awesome.
Michael,
So, wait. Yes, go ahead.
I think it's Tuesday and Thursday. They do, it's called Smile and Dial. So
All right.
we'll do the smile and dialing. You get your leads or whatever, and she'll go over one with you.
That's a lot more hand holding than I think any other team does. I mean, I used to do a lot of hand holding, but yeah, the way Mitch and Maley have set it up to where they can grow it and scale it and still support a bunch of people, it's been impressive. So anyway, it's working. property
Now,
tour.
is that the, 490, what did you say was 497? Is that on top of the monthly that you pay for? I know there's like around $100.
So it's $100 off of the 597
Oh,
if
okay.
you've been in the last challenge. And
Right.
that's not monthly, it's just for the whole challenge for the 90 days. But you have a monthly fee of the $97, which
Plus
is
the 597.
so the 597 is just to join, but $97 is so that you can be a part of the ISN. So inside there, since it's private, we can do some private capital. There's just a lot of different deals that are in there that you can work with, but you have to be part of the 97. And that's also for what's it called, the EOS fee or something like that.
Oh, okay. So technically you could be part of the 97 and not be part of the 597, or do you have to be both?
Nope, you could just do the 97 a month and then go
I
to the
see.
mastermind and that, but not be
I
part of
see.
the challenge. Yes.
Ah, okay. Okay, so the challenge itself is the 597. Okay, so the other ones is just a membership, a completely different ones. Okay.
Hmm.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Cool. So it's working. It's growing. And if you aren't growing at the same rate that the team is growing, you got to ask yourself, what's holding you back? And if you feel like something's holding you back, it might be time to join the learning blocks class that we have this Thursday. I don't know. I just once I figured out more about how my brain works and how it likes to distract itself when it's time for work and justify different things. I've definitely been able to be more productive in less time while having fun and being able to stay more present. So anyway, it doesn't have to be Renatus people either. If you know folks that just they need the Genius program anyway, and you want to send them and participate, bring them along with you at the same time, let's have some fun together. But please use that registration link so everyone can stay organized. Awesome. 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 Okay. So I'll just drop this in here.
Where's the registration link in the ISN? I'm
And I
sorry.
just put it in the chat here.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. All right, well, let's switch over to the whiteboard. I wanted to chat with you guys for a minute about the just the process, making sure everybody's following along. We spent the last two calls going over I can type. I'm just getting my iPad into Zoom here. 625-4200. Going over the funding.
Recording in progress.
Oh. Okay, there we go. We don't want no echo. No echo, please. Okay. So we went over the funding, how to put dollars together, how to inspire people, the kind of language to use. Let me make sure this is sharing screen. There we go. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. All right, there you go, folks. It's America. Okay. One reason why I love Renatus and the recruiting process is that in your real estate business, you have holes. Okay, here's your big old biz. There's you, right? You're the CEO. And then you're gonna have a few people. You're gonna have a lender, you're gonna have a contractor, the GC, but then you're also gonna need an attorney and an accountant. You're gonna need a handyman, which is different than a GC. You're gonna need an inspector. You're gonna need an insurance person. You're going to need a couple title agents. You're going to need a buyer's agent. You're going to need a listing agent. You're probably going to have some wholesalers on your list. Yeah, there's a bunch of pieces that you're going to need to fill in your business. You're going to have a marketing person, right? Maybe you got a website, sending out flyers, listings, raising capital. Yeah, it's a whole big team, right? You got this overarching umbrella, so to speak. Okay. And you need to fill in these holes. Now, traditionally, you, as the CEO, would start to pay people for these jobs. You're going to need them anyway. Right. It's you could do real estate with a third of these, or even a quarter if you were just doing some bare bones stuff. But you need a team. And when you're starting out, you don't have a team, right? You just got this. There's you, and maybe you got this agent over here in the corner. It was like, oh, someone I can sell to. So the traditional way is you pay for these roles. But what I learned in Renatus when I started recruiting and building my business at the same time, as I went out and created relationships with these people, my first attempt was to enroll them in the education. And in this world, some of them decided to buy. The agent bought, a contractor bought, the accountant bought, another agent bought, a lender bought. And I started getting paid to build my team. This is one of the geniuses behind the Renatus system. Is because you're getting paid to build your team. So you got to change the language a little bit. When you're going to recruit, you're going to talk, you still need the pieces, you still need the attorney, right? You still need all the elements that make up the team. But let's just make sure you're getting paid off of these. So one of the critical steps, remember MMA. We talk about this a lot, and I will keep reminding you. MMA, the first one is find the people. Second one is tell the story. Third is build for events. Fourth is follow up. That's where all the money is. This is where all the money is. Now you found the person, right? You just saw my cute little bubble chart. Okay, we found the people. And you want to get to the money. Me too. But if you skip the story step, people are not going to hear your invitation. If you just go straight to, hey, you're a general contractor, why don't you come to my event? You're skipping the story. You're going to have to talk to at least double, if not 10 times more people with that method. You need to tell the story. So what is the story made up of? The story has a pattern to it. In fact, every memorable story that a human being has told another human being that is still remembered to this day followed this pattern. Some genius speech analyzer went and did this. They analyzed like 1,000 speeches from recorded history all the way down to the Romans and the Greeks and all of their big public addresses. Huge speeches, small speeches, it doesn't matter. They all follow this pattern. There's a story pattern. It's called first leg is called How It Is. And then the second leg is called How It Could Be. How it is, how it could be. But then it drops back down to another segment of how it is. And then back up to a how it could be. And depending on how long your speech is, if you got 6 minutes, maybe you stop here. If you got 12, 15, 18 minutes, maybe it's a 2-hour speech. And it drops back down to how it is. And then, you guessed it, how it could be. So if you follow this language pattern while you are telling the story, how it is, how it could be, how it is, how it could be, how it is, how it could be. This pattern paints a type of picture in someone's head that they can actually follow along, they can hear, they can see what you're talking about. And from that, when you end on the how it could be, because obviously it'll be related to why we're talking to them to begin with, but then we relate it back to the event. Join us at the event. Okay, so let's expand on that some. How it is and how it could be. Well, there's 3 main topics that I've found that keep the conversation relevant to almost anybody you're talking to. And you'll recognize this. It's our pie charts. All right, we got the design life. And we got the default life. 1/3 to tax. Ugh. 1/3 to banking and the robbery that happens there. And then 1/3 you try to live on your life. Versus design, we got our life at 80%. And then we got taxes and banking down to 10%. Banking taxes. Okay, so you're familiar with this. This is a version of how it could be. This is how it is. But when you break it up into segments and tell a quick story, we've created enough intrigue and curiosity that people will attend the event. Okay. Remember, the goal is to create curiosity. Get good at creating curiosity, because that's what will get someone in their car and put on a nice pair of pants and come down to the event, actually see the whole offer, the whole process, and then they'll decide to join. So how it is. A great phrase to start out with is, did you know? But how it is on taxes. Ugh, awful. And it, excuse me, there's the emotional side and then there's the logical side, and you need to hit both. On the taxes, it's like working from January to April for free. Ugh. Working January to April for free and then drop a feeling. Feels like, and what does it feel like? Feels like I'm losing, right? It feels like I'm lost. It feels like I'm stuck. It feels like I'm getting robbed. It feels frustrating. So how it is I'm paying, you know, I'm paying yeah, we'll say 1/3, but let's say the average American is making, or the average income. What is the average income in America? Just the average of averages in America. I know we got some huge incomes also. But according to this robot, the average, which is the mean, not the median. All right, according to this, 74, according to that, 77, and according to this, 80. Just give me the real chart. Okay, here we go. Okay, we're gonna go with 80. Excuse me. So 80K times 0.3, if you were being lazy, is $24,000. So you could say either your situation or a typical situation. You know, typical Americans making 80 grand, they're paying 24 grand a year in taxes. It's by default. Another way of saying that is 2K a month. Well, and then you start a quick story of how it could be. Well, I met some people. I met this lady, I met this guy, I met this group of investors who figured out how to pay way less in taxes and keep that money legitimately. And what I learned is, and then you know how it could be, what I learned was real estate investors and business owners pay approximately 10% in taxes. I learned that there's a whole game to play where I could keep way more of my money. On 80,000, that's only 8,000 a year in taxes instead of 24. So, you know, that's saving what, like $1,200 a month? $1,200 a month saved. What would life be like if you could save $1,200 a month? So I know because I'm writing it out, it's coming out a little choppy, but in your conversation, you know where you're going with it. How it is, how it could be. How it is, how it could be. Right? Did you know the average American could be paying around 2 grand a month when they could really be paying something like 800 a month or even less? That's over $1,000 a month in savings. What would you do with that money? And then finish with a question. I remember hearing, who was it? It was either Dane or Bill. One of them said that they saved $1 million in taxes because of the strategies in our classes. So you can see I even met a guy who, he does a bunch of real estate deals now. He started out as a regular dude making $9 an hour, $10 an hour. And because of something he learned at one of the classes I went to, he saved over $1 million just in taxes. How it is, how it could be. So we'll say, this one's about tax. Well, how about this one be about banking or mortgages? And how it is on my old plan, right? My old plan was 30 years. I was going to pay 4%, which meant I was really going to pay like 80% of my principal back in interest. And I was going to be in debt. And then what did that feel like? Well, 30 years from now, gosh, I'm going to be an old geezer. But how it could be is debt free. Who here's paid off a house because of velocity banking, or knows somebody who did, or who paid off their car, who paid off their student loan? Oh man, there's like 4 million people who are in default on their student loans this month. Debt free or paid for assets. Yeah, Michelle did. So the old plan was 30 years of debt. The new plan is paid off. I went to this class, guys. I went to this class called Velocity Banking, and it showed me how I could get a 30-year mortgage down to 10 years and pay a fraction of the interest. Now, one thing I learned about this is it's not a refi. It's not, getting a new mortgage. I don't sell mortgages. It's not about getting a new mortgage. It's about changing how you play the game with the bank. So we got 30 years of crushing debt, or we got a debt-free lifestyle. So we got the taxes, how it is, how it could be. We got the banking, how it is, how it could be. What's another one? Another big one, like the real one that we're all after, the one that is by definition the lifestyle. I'll tell you, it's time. Time. How it is. 40 hours a week at one job, 20 hours a week for the part-time gig. Part-time, you're driving Uber and Lyft, and you got these gig jobs on the side. You're doing DoorDash and this and that. Gigs on the side. Time? What is that? Maybe 2 hours a week of free time between the jobs, the commuting, the you still got to do grocery shopping and house maintenance and laundry and all these other things, right? 2 hours free if you're working in America with a default mode, with no design, with no life plan. You don't have very many free hours. 2 hours free a week, not a day. This is a week. Because then you got to sleep. You got to, you got to. If you're going to do this part of your plan and it's only for a couple years, okay, fine. But this is not a way to live. Friends, family deserve more of your time. There's this, you guys know about Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America, Boys and Girls Club, different things like that. If you got a bunch of free time, let's go start putting it into these kids. It's going to create the next generation of free Americans. How it could be. How could it be? Work 5 hours a week. You know, besides the call that Dane does with us on Wednesdays, he only works 3 to 4 hours a day, 2 to 3 days a week. Okay, a couple calls here, a couple calls there, file some paperwork, but the rest of the time is free, freedom. I'm so grateful that I get this freedom too. Now we still work. Obviously, I work more than if I didn't do Renatus, right? If I only did real estate, you guys would never hear from me. I'd be playing on a farm and just hanging out with my babies. But I love the mission that we're on. I know what we're doing is important. And Bob Snyder writes huge checks. So let's get to work. But that freedom, what does that freedom mean? What if it went to 10 hours a week or 40? We free up 40 hours a week of freedom. What would you do with that family time? Maybe your kids are grown and now you're developing hobbies. Maybe you are getting into your fitness because remember, health is the real wealth. You know how much better you can cook when you got some free time? Same meal, same cheeseburgers, but when you make the burger yourself versus because you have no time, you go buy some random cheeseburger from some random spot. Quality, everything's just totally changed. So that was a long explanation of how to tell a story. But the key I want you to remember here is the what it is and what it could be. How it is, how it could be. How it is, how it could be. How it is, how it could be. Talk on a few topics. It's easy to bring up taxes, banking, and time because we see the huge contrast in America. People paying people paying 10% tax versus 30% tax. Let's see if I can show you a chart real quick here. When we really get down to understanding how these numbers take a toll on our income, I think we might try a little bit harder. Taxes on our income and then the inflation, the money printing. Here we go. So take a look at this. Take a look at this. Tax, growth with no tax. So all they're doing is they're showing you if you just doubled your income, $1, $2, $4, $8, and you doubled it for 20 years, you'd be at $1 million for the income. If you were taxed at 17%, now some people say 17% is low. What's the big deal? 17, right? So on their first dollar, you get to keep. But that second dollar, they took 17 cents from it, 17%. Okay, but then you doubled your income and then it took 17 and 17 and 17 and 17. By the time that's added up, you've lost 80% of your earning power. Then if you're taxed at 27, which some people think is fine, 27, well, okay, that first year you're going to lose 27 cents. So you're on 173 and then 299 and 518. By the time 20 years go by, what would have been $1 million is 57,000. This is insane. The impact taxes can have. So obviously this is by someone doubling their income every year. I get that caveat. But the point is, you should be going up every year because you're improving. And to be a little more pissed off about the theft that's happening around you. Okay. And then you've seen the mortgage charts with the velocity banking curve versus the standard chart and how much you lose in interest there. And then, the chart about free time. We talked about this the other day, and we're going to end on this note here. This thing on time. Did you know that 80% of the time you spend with your kids is when they are 0 to 12 years old? Then 15% of the time you spend with your kids is when they are 12 to 18 years old. And then you spend 5% of your time, the remaining time you spend with your kids is the rest of their life after 18. And who suffers? The parents suffer because they traded that time for dollars, thinking that they were doing something better, but they just bought daycare or they bought a nicer TV for their kid to sit in front of. That's not the same. 95% of that time. And we got 5% left for the remainder. So what a tragedy. You go work, the first 10 years of your kid's life, you were just on a treadmill, paying 27% in tax on 7% inflation, monetary inflation, and then your student loan and your mortgage are just choking out all of your income, all of your flexibility. So you go work double time, triple time to try to keep up with the Joneses, and you lose that time with your kids. And then you try to make up for it, but it's too late, and then they're out. So I saw that mistake happening over and over and over, and that's why I worked so hard at Renatus, is so that when my babies came, I could have that time with them. I could make a difference and make an investment. Okay, when they're off and older and whatever, cool. I can go ham. I can go back to 60, 80 hours a week of work if I wanted to. So keeping it in perspective. This story pattern could make you a lot of money. How it is, how it could be. So then when you go through, and now we are inviting, we find the people. Now we're telling that story. Then we're going to build for events. So then you would say, well, why don't you come to the challenge with me? Or why don't you come to this velocity banking with Mitch on Thursday? And I'll show you how we're changing the banking game. Or come hear this tax discussion that we're going to be doing. And because you told a story about it, your invitation to the event is much more powerful because you told the story. That story gives power to your invitation. If you got, an hour with somebody and it's over dinner or like a casual lunch, tell a 30-minute version of your story about how you went from here to here to here to here. Tell 5 different stories from teammates. Wanda and or Gilda and Michelle have both paid off houses using velocity banking. What would that be like? I know they both made a boatload of money on flips and they have rentals too. So, what was their life like before? How was it before? How they made it. How it was before, how they made it. So if you're still working on it, then you talk about how it could be. But if you know people who already did the thing, then talk about what they accomplished and how you're going after that as well. And you don't have to do it by yourself. Hallelujah. And then as you're going out there and you're talking to the GC, the contractor, the inspector, the accountant, and you're asking them and you're telling that story and you're following that model, how it is, how it could be, how it is, how it could be. Why are you getting into real estate? And you're telling them, well, here's how it could be for me. This is why I'm doing it. And then because you dropped a story, now you're going to start inviting all of these people. Invite them, invite them, invite them, invite them. And some will say yes and some will say no. And the ones that say yes and join your team, you get paid and you have a team member for your real estate. So this is why I say that there's a genius thought process behind this Renatus program, because you're going to get paid to build your real estate team. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, with that being said, appreciate spending time with you guys. Happy Memorial Day. Remember, attitude of gratitude rules everything. Be grateful for where you're at, and you're going to attract a lot more things. If you complain or you think the grass is greener on the other side, you are going to learn a rough mistake in your thinking. That's not true at all. It is not greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. And where do you water it? Where you are. So spread the love. I know America is not perfect, but it is the best.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it even, I couldn't say it better than you did, Michael. Thank you.
Okay. Appreciate you
Thank
all
you.
for being
And
here.
yeah. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Let's go make a
And
difference, folks.
have a blessed Memorial Day.
That's right. You too. Bye
Thank
for
you.
now. See ya.